Go for it.
Um, all right. Well, I do just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Selzer and Josh, for inviting me to present today. I'm super excited to be a part of this symposium and the awesome effort that you all have been doing. And so today, I'll just be talking a little bit about community service and how to get connected to the greater Cincinnati community. So my name is Lauren White, and I'm the program coordinator within the Center for Community Engagement, located here at the University of Cincinnati. And with the presentation today, I'll just be talking a little bit about how to get involved in service, why service is important, current service opportunities here in Cincinnati, and as Bearcats, right, how can we make a community impact? And so looking at that on an individual level, what is your community impact, not only while you're a student here, but outside of your education as well. So just a little bit about the CCE. We are an office within the Division of Student Affairs here at the University of Cincinnati. So we're located right across the street from Clifton Avenue in Stratford. So Stratford Building 19. If you ever want to stop by and ask some questions about community service, feel free to schedule an appointment or anything like that. But we specifically focus on connecting the Bearcat community to the Cincinnati community through community service. So for our office, not only are we concerned about helping students fulfill their community service hours when we're thinking about, Cincinnatus or Turner Scholars, but we're really focused on how can students create connections across difference and learn from the community engagement experiences. So when thinking about, the different things we do to improve our resumes, such as co-op, community service can serve as those learning opportunities as well. So really a great way to get hands-on experience and develop those skills outside of the classroom. So I could go on and on about the Cincinnati experience and what we do at the Center for Community Engagement. But I did just want to take a moment to highlight the student experience and what other students have said they've learned through the CCE programs, such as Bearcat Buddies and Project Serve. And again, just highlighting how to get involved, as well as our volunteer.uc.edu website. So I'm going to take a short moment just to show our short commercial.
This is more than just, what it's giving to me. This is like me giving a part of myself to somebody else.
This experience kind of taught me about the potholes in healthcare, so to say. So there's a lot of inequity in healthcare too, and I hope to go into that direction.
You can see the fruits of your labors and really know that you're doing your part to make the community what it is.
Not only you grow as a person, but you also get to meet great people on the way.
I've gained a lot of understanding and patience when it comes to community service and just learning that what our society and community needs, and that's kind of helped guide my major and guide kind of what I want to do after college.
One of the most important things to me is giving back to other people. We're in a privileged community and a privileged position. In such a formative time of our lives, I think it's important that we start to expand upon that.
I've had a lot of communications with people in neighborhoods as well. I'm very appreciative of the work and everything that we were doing.
And just hearing their experiences and what's made them who they are was really cool to see.
The Center for Community Engagement was really pivotal in helping connect me with some of my own volunteer opportunities. I actually found out about all of the different volunteer opportunities through the listserv sent out by the Center for Community Engagement. What that allowed me to do was instantly start building upon a connection that the University of Cincinnati already had with community partners.
Participating in community service has strengthened my communication skills and just made me a better people person in general.
The CCE is amazing. I think they do an awesome job with connecting individuals or groups with community service opportunities that kind of fit their needs and also really provide a fulfilling and comprehensive service experience.
So I saw some faces kind of light up throughout that video, which tells me that maybe some of your friends were in the commercial or involved within different CCE experiences. But I just wanted to highlight that these are, current students here at the University of Cincinnati that have really challenged themselves, again, to step outside of their comfort zone and get involved within Greater Cincinnati and make that difference. So again, I could go on and on about all the skills and different things that you can earn from community service, but it's not only about fulfilling that scholarship requirement, but really about what you can take away from those experiences. I can't tell you how many tutors and mentors say they go in thinking that they know it all, right? And all these different things when engaging with their tutee or mentee, and then walk out of the experience saying, wow, I learned so much from them and from just having stories and conversations with residents within Cincinnati. So when thinking about Cincinnati, right, I just want to take a moment to reflect on today, especially being the day after the election, right? And we're still thinking about election results, but really thinking about Black and Brown communities, not only dealing with the weight of the election, but also dealing with the different racial traumas that have been occurring throughout the summer, as well as COVID-19, right? And so when we think about COVID-19, what we're seeing is that the most vulnerable members of our community, many whom already faced health and economic disparities, are continuously being disproportionately affected by this pandemic. So these numbers are continually rising when we think about the death rate, but also just thinking about the wealth gap within our community. So we've seen that a lot of people who maybe have never experienced food insecurity, as well as loss of jobs, right, are now experiencing these situations due to the pandemic and the global health crisis. So that just being said, we recognize that the need now is greater than ever. So not only is it a public health crisis caused by COVID-19, but we also have an extreme economic crisis in our wake. And so thinking about that, there's tons of opportunities through different community organizations for students to get involved and give back. And so this can look like virtual experiences as well as in-person experiences while adhering to those socially distant guidelines. So making sure that we have our masks and making sure that we are not helping to spread COVID-19. So when thinking about all of those different opportunities to give back to our community, it's also important to note the different health disparities within Greater Cincinnati, right? So we all know that health disparities exist, but when thinking about the Greater Cincinnati region, life expectancy within one zip code may be 25 years less than another zip code right next door. So the data shows us that African American and Latino adults have worse healthcare than Caucasian adults within these Cincinnati areas, as well as if we have lower income, that contributes to worse healthcare. So some really important questions to ask are, what are causing these differences in life expectancy across these neighborhoods? And why is it that the average Cincinnati resident may be expected to live 20 years less than their neighbor? So I really want to just take a chance and kind of blow this map up and talk about these different colors within the life expectancy neighborhoods. So let's just take where we are within the University of Cincinnati, for example, right? So looking at this Clifton neighborhood, right next door, we have Avondale, as well as North Avondale / Paddock Hills. And so when we're looking at the life expectancy numbers, we can see down here that there's almost a 25-year difference from Avondale to North Avondale. And then looking at Clifton, right, there's quite a large difference between Avondale and Clifton as well. And so thinking about all those different factors that contribute to that outside of healthcare. So Avondale personally, right, is a food desert. So what that means is that there is no access or no easy access to grocery stores such as Kroger and Target. But then when we look at where UC is located, there's all these different grocery stores, Kroger, Target, CVS within walking distance, and we see that students have more access to education, whereas within Avondale, it may not be the same. And so we see that with high illiteracy rates and different things like that, that really affects the life expectancy overall. And so again, just breaking down, what does this map show us? It just shows us that these communities are disproportionately impacted by these health disparities and the overall emotional fatigue. And so when thinking about that, it's really important to think about us as individual Bearcats. How can we make a difference? So really thinking about all those different social effects that affect health outside of healthcare. So again, thinking about that education, thinking about the overall access to healthy food, affordable housing, environmental exposure to toxins. There's so many things that affect healthcare and so many different ways so many different things that affect health and so many different ways to give back to our community and the communities around us. So when thinking about that, right, it's important to think about, okay, well, how can I get started? So a great place to start as a Bearcat at the University of Cincinnati is our website, volunteer.uc.edu. So this website is the Center for Community Engagement's clearinghouse. So we connect with over 300 community partners within the greater Cincinnati area and post needs on a weekly basis. So these needs can be virtual or in person. And you can also, as a student, log in with your 6+2 and access the needs and filter them based off of your interest. So say you're really interested in being a caregiver, or you're really passionate about education, you can use those filtering accesses in order to find a need and find a community partner that best fits you and what you're passionate about. And so some other awesome websites are also Cincinnati Cares, brightenaday.org, onlinevolunteering.org, and volunteermatch.org. So these are great websites that are offered both locally here in Cincinnati as well as across the nation. So you have a opportunity to connect with a community partner or a community organization and help that nonprofit thrive. And so what we've seen currently with virtual opportunities, that could look like social media, or it could be helping an organization write grants. And there's also a large need for virtual volunteering, tutoring, and mentoring. So there's plenty of websites and plenty of ways to get started making your personal impact within your community. And so with that, when thinking about your service opportunities, one thing we wanted to note within the Center for Community Engagement is don't just limit yourself to health-related volunteer opportunities. It's so important to think outside of the box and identify skills you'd like to develop. And really, once you've identified those skills, find a volunteer opportunity that gives you the opportunity to continue to develop those skills overall, right? And so as the students mentioned within the video, there's so many experiences that will challenge you, not only to step outside of your comfort zone, but really allow you to develop those skills of communication or problem solving. And then you can really speak to that within, say, if you're applying for medical school or graduate school or just a job in general, right? These volunteer opportunities give you a great skill set to speak about your leadership within these organizations. So some awesome examples of non-health related community service opportunities is tutoring. So through the Center for Community Engagement, we offer a program called Bearcat Buddies, as well as Project Serve. So this is a tutoring program where we work specifically with Cincinnati public school students through kindergarten through 12th grade. So this semester, as well as next semester, we are offering virtual tutoring where you can get involved with a student and serve as a mentor through this challenging process. I know we're all burnt out when it comes to like virtual learning, right? And all these different things that you're experiencing, but imagine if you were like 10. So really having the opportunity to connect with a CPS student and help their learning is so important right now, especially when we think about a lot of students, especially within Cincinnati public schools, look at school as an escape, right? From maybe environments at home that aren't healthy or some different food insecurities and different things like that. So without that access, again, that COVID-19 is really affecting our communities overall. Some different opportunities are these beautification projects, volunteering within social change organizations, or at food banks, right? And so an example of a social change organization is the Intercommunity for Justice and Peace. So you could get involved with that and just help combat the social injustices within the greater Cincinnati community and learn more about that. And food banks such as the Free Store Food Bank focus on food insecurity and helping people access healthy and wholesome meals. And so you all may be more familiar with the health related volunteer opportunities, but we did want to share some different examples. So currently thinking about like the hospitals, although there are still COVID-19 guidelines, more and more hospitals are allowing volunteers to interact with the hospitals. And so it may be within a virtual capacity, but also in person. There's all different types of clinics, all different types of social service agencies that students can get involved in, as well as selecting a cause that you care about, right? So it's really important to think about your passion and think about, again, how can you challenge yourself to step outside of your comfort zone and continuously develop those skills. And so as you're developing your skills, it's just continually thinking about how can you create that community impact, not only within your collegiate experience, but beyond. So once you are within your professional career, how can you continuously give back to the community around you? So I just wanted to share some brief advice that we have from the Center for Community Engagement about just finding your community impact and volunteering overall. So when thinking about that, it's really important to think about various ways to volunteer that allow you to explore your interests and passions, but also don't spread yourself too thin. So we've seen, right, you all are the best of the best and so involved in all these different organizations and different things like that. And oftentimes passion pushes us to want to sign up for, helping with food insecurity, helping with education. But it's really important to really find one or two volunteer opportunities that you can get deeply involved in and really challenge yourself to continue to grow within that leadership role. And so that is just a really good thing to follow. And then say if your interest in things change over the years, what you could do is change it semester by semester. But what you don't want to do is sign up for a volunteer need or sign up to be involved with a community partner and not be able to show up to that event. So sometimes we see that happens a lot. And because the need is so great, community partners end up not being able to fulfill the needs that they have within the community. So we don't want to let our community partners down. And then the last thing is just within, your classes, within your community service overall, it's just important to remember your why. So again, this is an awesome initiative within the Symposium, and thinking about why you are so extremely important. and your overall community impact. So Black and Brown doctors are extremely important because they continue to help build trust within our community. And again, that's so needed, especially in 2020 right now. So continue to do what you can to be involved within your community and create that difference. So one need that we wanted to highlight overall is currently the University of Cincinnati is looking for volunteers to help with COVID-19 contract tracing. So if anybody is interested in that or passionate about kind of helping in contract tracing, feel free to contact fran.larkin@uc.edu. And so with that, I'll close out. I know I ran a little bit over, so I do apologize for that. But if there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or ask. And you can always shoot me an email at lauren.white@uc.edu. And then our website is uc.edu/CCE. And so those have all the semester-long programs that were previously mentioned, as well as access to volunteer.uc.edu. But yeah, that's
awesome, Lauren. Thank you so much for all that great information and for being, a strong woman of color who's supporting diversity in service, with pre-health and service opportunities. I do have a quick question about the contract tracing opportunity. I know I have a student who is getting paid. There's a paid position for contract tracers. She said it was about $11 an hour, and students can work like 5 hours a week. It's through UC, I believe, and it's posted in Handshake. Is the position with Fran different because it's volunteer, so unpaid? Do you know anything about the difference between the paid position and Handshake and for contract tracers?
Yeah, that's a great question. To my understanding, the position that Fran is speaking of would be towards your community service hours. So with that, we try, like if you are being paid for something, we try not to contribute it towards your community service hour, not double dip at the same time. So that's through Dan Cummins' office within the Division of Student Affairs. And so if there are any more questions on that, I could definitely get more information and shoot it your way as well.
I think that's great. If there are no other questions, I posted in the chat to drop a question there. We really appreciate your time today. And we'll post this recording with the other pre-recorded talks on YouTube. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too. So for anybody hanging on the line, Lauren, I think I can't stop the recording. Here we go. Oh, stop.